Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Dr. Drew Ramsey. With the holiday season approaching, I wanted to talk about a hard subject, which is grief. And it's a hard subject because grief comes up a lot for us during the holidays and during other celebrations or times when we're not expecting to feel these feelings of sadness, of longing, of missing someone, all types of mixed emotions. So we were talking about tools that we can offer to everyone to help them with the holidays, and we wanted to talk about grief. And our clinical team came up with a few of the techniques that we use the most with individuals when we're struggling with grief or they're struggling with grief during the holiday season. Now, why does this happen? Why does grief come up during the holidays? Well, often, especially if it's grief about having lost someone or having had a traumatic event, but especially loss of an individual you love, that comes up in the holidays because you're used to seeing them. There are a lot of psychological cues and triggers. In my own family, one of my favorite family members who we've lost, she was my co-conspirator for our holiday planning, whether it was a trip, whether it was a big, fun dinner, whatever it was, she was who I was planning with. So every time around the holidays, I start to think about her. And it can often be painful and sad and longing. She's not here to plan with. So that's why during the holidays it can be so hard, especially now with so many individuals who've lost people they love due to the COVID pandemic. It's just a very challenging season. So let's talk about some of the techniques that could help you if you're struggling with this. And I think just as an intro, I wanted to say it's really normal to have these feelings, and I encourage you to spend some time during the holidays to sit with them. Another reason this happens for us is we spend a lot of time staying away from grief and trauma. We have to function our everyday lives feeling really sad or longing for someone that you can't see anymore. That's hard to sit with every day. And so we kind of close those things down and have a lot of defenses around them. And during the holidays, maybe when we have a little bit more time or we have more cues about those individuals, it comes up more. So let's talk about a couple techniques. The first one is called affective labeling. It's one of the techniques of mental fitness that we talk about in our course, Healing the Modern Brain. Affective labeling is about sitting and naming our feelings. It's one of the real, I would say, core techniques of any talk therapy or psychotherapy, where we move beyond, I just feel sad or I miss the person, into some of the more subtle nuances of how we feel grief, that we feel a little angry or unresolved, or we really are guilty that we didn't, say that thing or have that conversation we hoped to have with the person that we lost. So being specific about the feelings and what we call affects, fancy word for feelings or observed emotion, that we're having in this technique, again, called affective labeling. There are lots of resources available for that. Things called the feeling wheel is one that we like a lot, where there are lots of different feelings, and you can really kind of look there and get a sense of really specifically what you are feeling. The next technique, and this is a really important one because it's almost the opposite of often what we do when we feel sad, is about engaging. And when you're feeling a powerful emotion of grief, I believe, and we believe clinically, it's important to engage with that feeling. And that can take many different forms. Maybe it's a journal entry where you're writing about or to that person, or maybe it's a letter that you write to that person. I could write, dear Marcia, really missing you and thinking about the holidays. And maybe in that letter start to do some of that planning I used to do with her. It's also, for some individuals, really helpful to have a ritual. Some of the experience of having grief during the holidays is really disorienting and almost dissociating, that it's hard to have all these different feelings. And so having a ritual to hold that could be having a moment of silence for that individual every year, or giving a present to that individual who's not there, or maybe everyone going around and sharing a memory, or maybe it's something much more personal for you. You go to a favorite place and sit and think about the individual. So engaging with feelings of grief and seeing the opportunity in the holiday to do, in some ways, the opposite of what we often do, which is staying away from these feelings, to really engage with them. And then finally, and this is a skill, and it's a hard skill, it's one that oftentimes in psychotherapy we're working on with individuals, and on a personal level, I think all of us are really working on, is how do we hang on to multiple different emotions at the same time? Because this is part of why holiday grief is so hard, that you have the joy and the excitement of a celebration, or maybe some time off, or maybe you really love that feeling of holiday with your families, or maybe the holiday season isn't your thing and you get away and really recuperate. um, it's a lot of different feelings at once. When you mix in grief and sadness and anxiety and family dynamics, it's a lot when you put a little bit of grief in there too. And so holding on to all these feelings, realizing you as an organism, as a conscious creature, can sort through a day, walk through a day where you're feeling a lot of this and a lot of this at once, and you can handle it. And by affective labeling, by engaging with your grief, and by working on your ability to hold on to multiple feelings at once, I really hope that helps you with your grief if you're experiencing grief this holiday season. Make sure to subscribe to these videos, and please share this with anybody that you know that's struggling with grief this holidays. I hope this is helpful, and I hope it helps you engage with those you love this holiday season. I'm Dr. Drew Ramsey, and I'll be back talking to you more and more videos about your mental health soon. And until then, do everything you can to take great care of your mental health and the mental health of those around you.